I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. Got an article here from the Jerusalem Post from a Mr. Moshe Feiglin, head of the Jewish leadership movement. He said last week that if he were elected prime minister, of course, I don't know if he's running or not, but he said he would try to rebuild the destroyed temple in Jerusalem. He said, quote, "I don't know if I will have the merit of doing something that is the aspiration of every Jew," said Feiglin, "but if I became prime minister, I will take away the control over the Temple Mount from the Waqf, that is the Islamic Trust, and reinstate Jewish sovereignty over the entire mount, and hopefully rebuild the temple." Feiglin said that rebuilding the temple and all that it symbolized was the essence of a Jewish state. Well, that's a nice sentiment, and I'm confident that he or someone will be able to implement the rebuilding of a Jewish temple. The problem, of course, is that he's not going to be able to get rid of the Waqf. The mountain has been placed in Muslim hands for so long, and Israel has been in agreement with that for so many years. You know, if they had started in 1948 to kick the Muslims out, fine. But after all this time, I don't think it's going to work. But my Bible says that there's going to be a fence built across the Temple Mount to make a separation between the Jewish sanctuary and the profane place, which I think are the Muslim holy sites. So, I wish him well. I hope he can do it. Hope he can pull it off, he and the others who are with him. But even though it's being talked about and they're making plans for it, and the new Sanhedrin court has been talking about it and making plans for it. In the final analysis, the Muslims are going to trample the city of Jerusalem underfoot for 3.5 years. I think that's the last half of the Great Tribulation period. Here's an article about Mr. Putin, the leader of Russia. Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin has said that the United States should take a lesson from the pages of Russian history and not exercise, quote, excessive intervention in economic activity and blind faith in the state's omnipotence. This fellow's talking like Barry Goldwater here, you know. And he's the head of Russia. He says, quote, "In the 20th century, the Soviet Union made the state's role absolute." He said this during a speech at the opening ceremony of the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. He said, quote, "In the long run, this made the Soviet economy totally uncompetitive." In other words, no free market. He said that this lesson cost us dearly. I'm sure nobody wants to see it repeated. And yet, that seems like what's going on in Washington, D.C. nowadays. He said, quote, "Nor should we turn a blind eye to the fact that the spirit of free enterprise, including the principle of personal responsibility of business people, investors, and shareholders for their decisions, is being eroded in the last few months. There is no reason to believe that we can achieve better results by shifting responsibility onto the state." Hey, this was Mr. Vladimir Putin saying this. Amazing. These things sometimes never cease to amaze me. Putin also cautioned the U.S. against using military Keynesianism to lift its economy out of recession, saying in the longer run, it won't solve the problem. And I am in absolute agreement. I think we should reevaluate what's going on with our economy and not take over businesses and not nationalize segments of our economy and not let the government tell businessmen how to run their business. Here's an article. This actually is an email from from a gentleman who I think is a supporter of our ministry. He wrote this wonderful letter, and I want to read it to you. I want to share it with you because I have stage 4 colon cancer, and we've been working for a year now to try to get rid of the cancer in my liver. Now, they got rid of the cancer in the colon by taking out 30% of my colon last May the 12th, a year ago. But the tumors in my liver have been hanging around for a while. And, of course, we zapped them with radiation a few weeks ago. And on May the 6th, we're going to be taking a CAT scan, going to get a CAT scan of the liver to see where it is. But this gentleman says that his mother had been taking full stalk, canned style asparagus that she pureed, ground it up into liquid, and took 4 tablespoons in the morning and 4